Hey, this is Steve Richards with the CEO Nation. Glad to have you guys here and excited today. We're going to talk about KPIs and metrics, data, my favorite stuff. It's actually kind of the hub of everything that we do, where we help people transfer or transform from being entrepreneurs into being business owners, into CEOs to be exact. And KPIs are a big piece of every step of the way. And so today we're going to talk about how to know what numbers matter, what's the difference between different kinds of numbers, and maybe more importantly, two other things: why we care about these numbers, and then finally, how do we use them? So we're going to kind of talk about how, what, when, and why. Maybe a little bit of where too. So I see a lot of folks popping in. What's up, everybody? Again, we're live on Facebook here. And so if you guys are on today and you want to catch a replay, just head into the CEO Nation Facebook group, and this will be pinned in there. If you guys are on Facebook watching this, there is a Zoom that you guys can log into weekly, so you can be on here live and ask questions and all that information. I think Bobby's going to chat that out here. Bobby's logged in as me. That's why there's two Steve Richards. But yeah, drop that. Thanks, Bobby. So anybody that needs anything, if you guys want to talk about anything we do with our Team Architects company, or that's kind of weird. My camera's weird. You guys seeing that? It's a weird sepia tone kind of fading in and out. Anyway, it's making me look more tan, so I'll keep it. But there's anything you guys, if there is anything you guys may need, step of strategy session, or in fact, I'm pretty positive you're going to want this link today, because if you haven't done our KPI training, you're going to want to go do that. It's really easy. It's free. It's 25-minute video, but there's downloadable documents. There's action plans that will help you, because we're going to talk about metrics today, why the numbers matter, how to use them. But access to that training, access to the registration link to get on live on this weekly webinar we do, and several other things, the podcast, all kinds of other stuff. That is all at the link that we just put into the chat. It's the CEO Nation. Starts with the ceonation.com/links, LINKS, the ceonation.com/links. So go there. You guys can access anything you probably need to follow up or connect with us. All right, cool. So we're going to go. Let me see. I got a few people chatting in. What's up, Randy? Randy Craven. Maybe we should bring you on to teach some of this with your businesses. Let's see. Bill, what's going on, man? Yeah, okay. I see a couple questions popping in. I'm going to slide those guys until a little bit later. So I'm going to cover about 30 minutes of this topic of KPIs today. Feel free to ask anything on the KPI topic as we're going. I want to make it interactive. I don't want this to be one way, but I will answer anything I can KPI topic wise while we're covering this topic. But then when I get to the end, I'm going to make sure I got plenty of time to do an open Q&A. If you guys need anything, any kind of coaching questions you have with your business on finances, numbers, sales, lead generation, marketing, partnerships, hiring, whatever the case may be, you got problems, you got opportunities, whatever you guys may want to talk about, I'll make sure I've got time blocked off at the end to do an open Q&A. And in fact, everybody's very shy on this call to ask questions. And I say this almost every week, but I get blown up throughout the week in DMs and Facebook Messenger and text messages and Voxer, my email. So many guys and gals have questions throughout the week. And then it's funny that I don't do a good job of promoting this format, I guess, because they're not on here asking those questions. And here's what's cool is the better your questions are, the more I want them to be on this, because I think not only will I answer them to help you, but I think other people will enjoy hearing those answers as well. So I would just encourage you guys, if you have anything going on, whether it's a big opportunity you're not sure how to figure out, or it's a big problem you're not sure how to fix, and anything in between, make sure you guys are kind of getting ready for that. So in about, 30 minutes, give or take. I'll have an open Q&A time. And all right, I see a couple new faces on here too. So welcome, guys and gals. A few gals on here too that I don't know. Glad to see you guys. If you didn't, a few people just jumped on. My name's Steve Richards, and this is the CEO Nation, our weekly deep dive training. We do it every Monday, 3:30 Eastern, where I get on and give you guys a quick hit of some training where I'm attempting to give you guys something every week that will help you in your transformation from entrepreneur to CEO, from hustler to business owner. I want you guys to be able to take the things that we've learned and done over the years in our different businesses and learn how to implement that into your own so that you can scale the business, make more income, have the lifestyle that you desire, and not have to do all the work yourself. So that's the goal here. So with that, we're going to talk today about probably very close, if not first, a very close second to the most asked questions we get are revolving around KPIs, metrics, numbers, data. There's different words for it. It's a pretty back and forth with hiring. It's probably the two things that we help people with the most. They're probably the two biggest things that need the most help in the business because people screw them up the most. And they're very interrelated too. I'm going to cover a little bit about why metrics matter for hiring today. So first off, I want to just, if you guys aren't familiar, by the way, like I said, ask questions, on topic questions right now. Anything with KPIs while we're going, just don't wait until the end. Go ahead and fire those questions in. I'll be watching chat. But, KPIs stand for key process indicators. And so a lot of people don't even really think much about that. But the key word in there, no pun intended, is indicators. So there are different numbers in our business. There's all kinds of numbers in our business, right? Like we track or don't track, but we have access to all kinds of information. Now, a lot of people, and I won't ask you guys to admit it on chat, but I bet some of you guys, the main key number you watch in your business or when you were newer in the business was the balance in your bank account. That's the one core number that a lot of people watch. And if it's higher, you feel better. If it's lower, you feel bad. And you allow that number, which actually has nothing to do with how well you're doing. Because quite frankly, if you're spending your money wisely and you're using different accounts and paying and distributing things and getting taxes paid on time and you're investing in marketing and teams, and the reality is your account may not have a lot of money sitting in your operating account in your business yet. That operating number is where a lot of us in the beginning look to find out what kind of mood we're going to be in. We wake up, we look in the account, and some things have happened and it's high and we're feeling pretty high. We're feeling pretty good. We'll probably go spend some of it, even though we shouldn't. We'll probably think, I should hire somebody, or we need a bigger office. And we start telling ourselves all these ways that we can spend the money when we have it. The reality is, if we had a good P&L and a good business understanding of our business model and had projections and reverse engineered goals into plans, then we could probably look at it and have a lot better vantage point for what's going on in our business. But that bank account balance drives a lot of people's moods. And when it's low, we might have a scarcity mentality where we don't do things that are good for the business, or we don't do things that are right for the business because we're feeling like, man, I don't have the money in there. But the reality is you should have a much, much deeper look into your business. And if you don't ever get past this, you'll be a victim of riding a roller coaster where you're just up and down with revenue. And so let's go back to that word indicator, the I in KPIs. Randy said, I like to look at my K1 at the end of the year and make sure it grows every year. Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah. Hopefully you're making more money every year. That's really good. But you could be watching all throughout the year to see where you're headed, right? And you could watch quarterly, but I'm gonna dig it into the I in KPIs here, indicator. I want to double down on this, guys. There's two, if you guys are taking notes, there's two core types of indicators. So the first type of indicator is a leading indicator, and the second is a lagging indicator. Now, here's what you need to know about this, because a lot of you guys have probably heard this in some shape, form, fashion. If you've followed me and done much of any of the trainings or things I do, you've heard me beat this thing to death. Because here's what you need to understand is that leading indicators typically will predict lagging indicators or leading activities, which leading indicators are typically activities that are being done, will drive the lagging indicators, which are results, the lagging results. And so activities drive results. That's a different way to look at this. Now I've dropped the indicator word. I've dropped the technical sounding, leading, lagging, all that stuff. Now I'm talking about activities driving results. And that's the first thing that if you guys are newer to KPIs, or even if you're not, and you want to go back and kind of reinvent what you're doing with your numbers, this is the first big philosophical change you need to make, is that you need to be thinking of activities that drive results. And so it's not just marketing activities that drive revenue results. There's actually, throughout the life cycle of your business, there's activities and results, activities, results, activities, results. It's a dance back and forth. And so here's a great way to look at it. So not many people look at results as the money part, but when you put marketing out, the activities would be how many mailers you dropped, or how many cold calls you made, or how many social media ads you ran, how many impressions you got, how many clicks. So or how much you bid. So there's these activities we do, and the results are going to be more like response. So how many leads came in, what was our response? And then we're going to be back to activities again, where we're calling people back, we're interviewing prospects, we're qualifying leads, and then eventually we're pitching, negotiating, offering, whatever you want to call it in your business. So that those are activities we're doing. Again, those are going to result in contracts, agreements, clients, engagements. I mean, whatever business you're in, right? And so there's another result. And then from there, the activities of fulfilling, which would be providing your service or delivering your product, would be activities that would be done again. And then money's going to be collected at some point, which is a result. And so the cadence of activity, result, activity, result, activity, result is important for you guys to understand, because the bigger view here is to break these things down inside of the different silos of your business, the different departments. We've talked about this a lot in the CEO Nation as well, but I haven't for several weeks. There's three major departments or components of every business. Now, I know a couple people on here might be smart, Alex, and can tell me different, but most businesses, 90+%, pretty much everybody, I'm going to look at everybody on here again. Well, I don't know. Let me see. I guess there's a chunk of you guys that I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb though. And I'm going to say that you guys, most of you are going to fall into this boat where we've got lead gen, sales, and fulfillment. And so our lead generation is our marketing. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? Our sales is when we take what marketing gives us, we do marketing activities. The result is that we get leads and prospects. And then we have sales activities that will result in clients. And those are from selling them a good or a service, right? And then fulfillment is delivering our good or performing our service. And basically, typically, that's usually the final delivery of whatever our business is to get paid. So I want you guys to be thinking in terms of lead gen, sales conversion, and fulfillment. You guys got that? It's three pieces, three major components. Within each one of those components, you've got activities and results, activities and results, activities and results. And so now we're starting to break down to some components where you guys can look at, all right, what do I do in my business that moves the needle? So I can narrow my scope, and I can look into my lead gen. I can say, what do I do that drives leads? So one of the unique things that we get the opportunity to do in business once we've been making money, and I know most of you guys I see on here, I know I've connected with or talked to you guys, or you're in our masterminds, or I'm in a mastermind with you, I know that you're out doing business, some level of it. So what's cool is when you have business that's going on, we can start to reverse engineer and say, hey, let me look at my best deals, my best clients, my best sales, my best agreements, whatever business you're in. And then I go backwards and I look at how they were sold, what kind of offer was made to them, what kind of pitch was delivered, what were the circumstances, right? And then I look at where those people came from. And so not only do I guess at all these things I can do to generate leads and then just follow them through the process, but over time, when I've done this so many times, right, I keep moving them from left to right, my left to my right here. Then after I pile up some sales over here and I look at all the best clients and I walk backwards and I look for common denominators. So now I'm starting to realize, okay, hey, in lead gen, there's some commonalities here. My top one or two, maybe three sources for generating the best clients are A, B, and C, or A and B. Now I can start to break down a deeper level nuance of what do I need to do with A to be effective, efficient, most cost effective with that? And how can I maximize that? And then what do I need to do with B, right? And now I'm down in the weeds and I'm looking at my lead gen, my marketing tactics here. But while I'm doing that, I'm developing the activities, the best practices of activities that I need to perform in order to drive the best results through that department. And so those are going to become the KPIs that I'm going to want to watch. And I'm going to do that in sales. And then I'm going to do that in fulfillment. And I've got to understand that when I have reoccurring opportunities or problems, things that I see I keep popping up, trends, what I need to do is I need to go backwards and see if I want more of that or less of it. If it's an opportunity, I want more. If it's an obstacle, I want less. But I need to go back and start to understand what caused or allowed. This is a key. So when I find something I like or don't like, but I've identified something that's going on in my business on a reoccurring basis, I need to ask myself this question. You guys want to write this down. What allowed or caused this thing to keep happening? Now, if it's good, I'm going to try to isolate that so I can do more of it. If it's bad, I'm going to try to isolate those activities because I want to stop doing them or I want to do them better or differently, right? But the point is I'm back to activities. And so from two different angles, I've looked at what are the activities that have driven the best results, but then I've also identified these opportunities and obstacles in my business, and I've gone back to the source that allowed or caused those things to happen. I've isolated those activities. I've now got a set of activities that especially if it's an obstacle that I'm trying to get rid of, when you have a list of activities that drive something, what I'm going to look at is what is the opposite of that activity? What do I need to do to make sure I don't do that? Right. So maybe that activity is a certain kind of phone call that I'm making, and I need to learn the opposite of that would be to have a different kind of phone call beforehand. So this kind of phone call didn't happen. And let me give you an example. So it could be a complaint kind of phone call, and I want to avoid those. So maybe a quality assurance call getting added in. And the opposite of someone calling to complain is me calling to check in on the client. And so I can potentially jump in front of that and create a quality assurance activity to try to catch things on the fly so they don't become a problem. So hopefully that example helps you guys. And so I'm isolating these activities that are going to become best practices in the business because these are the things that I need to track, because I know they're leading to the results that I'm looking to drive in the business. So here's what's really cool. So remember, guys, hit me up with questions while we talk. We've talked about the three different departments: lead gen, sales conversion, lead gen, sales conversion, and fulfillment. Within each one, there's activities that drive results. The leading indicators drive the lagging indicators. And so now this is the next big concept that you guys should write this down. If you don't understand it, like, this is absolute money, game-changing money. You're going to want to take the activity numbers within each one of these. Actually, you can do this across departments. When you start to figure out what numbers are moving the needle by doing these activities I just told you, you're gonna divide the activity number by a result number. And so maybe this is like how many pitches I make divided by how many clients I land gives me my conversion ratio on my sales pitches. I might want to divide the number of a certain kind of drop, a certain amount of units in marketing with a certain amount of response. I divide this bigger number, the drops or the units put out in marketing divided by the response that comes in, and that gives me some kind of response rate. And so once I understand this concept, like this is the super juice, is the division. It's the dividing of activities by results. And then I can say, well, how many prospects do I need to market to in order to drive $1 of revenue? So I can even say, I can get it down to, for every $1 I spend, I make $3. For every $1 I spend, I make $9. So I'm dividing the marketing spend by the revenue that came in. So that's the ultimate bookends. I start to drive some prospects and I close business over here and I generate revenue. I can do that with any numbers in between. And you just have to trial and error and see which ones you like and start to divide any activity number, and then going down the spectrum towards revenue, divide by some kind of lagging result, and just look for numbers that make sense to you. And so once you start to study these, the conversion ratios, the division, there are a percentage. So if I'm dividing the big number by the small number, I'm getting a percentage. That percentage is something that is more tangible and digestible for you. And so you can sit in your business and say, hey, 52% of the response that comes in turns out to be a qualified lead, and we're making pitches to 50% of the 52%. So half the people that respond turn into a qualified lead, and half of the people that become qualified, we're making some kind of pitch to, but yet we're only delivering on half of that number. So I'm starting out with 10 qualified leads maybe, and half of those people get some kind of pitch. And so I'm only pitching on 5 people. And say I'm closing 10% of that number, which might be a common closing rate, 10, 20, 30%, depends on what kind of business you're doing, right? Depends on how qualified your lead is. The more qualified your lead is, the more the lead will cost, the longer it will take to procure, but the easier it is to close. But now I've got these ratios that I can look at, and now I can really understand in my business, hey, for every $1 I put out in each one of these different channels, I get a certain amount of dollars in the back end. And the average size of a client or revenue is this per marketing channel maybe. And I realized that, well, hey, when people come from, in our real estate business, a lot of people are doing cold calling right now. Well, a lot of the leads that come in through cold calling are lower quality. It's harder to convert them because they're just sitting at home one day and their phone rings. And then later you're pitching them to move out of their house. They weren't even thinking about it. Versus if someone goes to a pay-per-click ad on Google, or they call on a mailer and they call you up and they say, hey, I've been thinking about selling and I got your mailer, I want to talk. Well, that person is more qualified from the perspective of their head is more wrapped around it and they're probably more prepared to act, right? Does that make sense? That's why it's important with these numbers. I want to study the nuances of different marketing activities and the different levels of results and the different sales pitches, where a lot of you guys are in real estate. So if you're pitching seller financing or subject to type deals, lease options versus cash offers, same client comes in, I pitch them a couple different ways, right? I bet I have a different conversion ratio on the back. I've got to test these different pitches and these different offers. And then it's a lot harder to fulfill on a flip than a wholesale. So if my fulfillment on a flip is to go ahead and take it down and get a project manager and contractor and get it ready and get a listing agent, get the rehab done and get it sold and paid, versus a wholesale deal, all I got to do is find a buyer that wants to pay more than I did. Well, fulfillment's a lot different depending on which avenue I'm taking. So each one of these three departments has different levels in them, and each one of those different levels or different types has activities that drive results. And I got to watch all that stuff. And I know this sounds intimidating, but you put it up on a board, you put it in a spreadsheet, you put it on a whiteboard. Don't worry about making it all systematized and all built into apps and all that cool stuff. I would prefer you guys for weeks just write it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper and do it every day, and just keep writing your numbers down until you get them so built into your head and so used to looking at them. And then you realize, oh, you know what? I've been tracking this one number for a long time. I don't even like that number. I'm not even going to track that anymore. In our real estate business, one of the things that we still track, but that we took out several years ago as a core metric, is appointments. We really don't. We know we need to do them, and we do track them in our CRM. But when we're meeting with a seller, what really matters is the leads that come in, is how many become a lead, and then how many become qualified. And then out of the qualified leads, how many people get an offer made to them, and how many offers turn into contracts. So we're watching those numbers, but we've realized we just trained our people like, hey, appointments are important, whether you do them over the phone or in person, but we don't really track that anymore. We could go back and see all of that data, but it's become something that we don't really care that much about, because we found the two things that we care a lot about are qualifying leads, which is making sure they're ready for an offer, and making an offer. Those are the two numbers that mean a whole heck of a lot to us. And so we've gotten rid of some other things that we do. Now, that doesn't mean we don't track a whole pile of other numbers, but some we look at daily, some we look at weekly, some we look at monthly. And so we have all these different levels that have built out over time, but going all the way back to the beginning, writing stuff down on a piece of paper or whiteboard, and doing the activities that drive results to find prospects, to sell to the prospects, and to execute on a client to get paid. Those are the three departments. Look for the different levels of activities that drive different results in each one of those, and just start tracking those wherever you can. And don't worry about automation and all this crazy stuff. Do that later when you figured out which metrics you really, really like and which ones really, really matter. And so here's what's at stake. Guys, if you have any questions, nobody's chatting, so either putting you to sleep, or this is just unbelievably money of a delivery here that you guys got it perfect. But when you guys are starting to get to where you have numbers that make sense, you got leading indicators that drive lagging results, activities drive results. I'm doing the division. I'm dividing the activities by the results. So now I've got these ratios, which I told you is the secret sauce to making KPIs come to life. Because now I can say, hey, we got to move this one from 55 to 60, or we got to move this one down from 30 to 22 or whatever. How are we going to do that? Those ratios are where things start to come to life, and they start to allow us to answer questions in our business. If I say I want to generate a certain amount of more revenue, well, if I know my metrics, I know a certain amount of more clients I need, and I'm going to know how many more people I need to do that, how much more volume I need to handle to do that, how many more offers in my sales process need to be done, pitches need to be done to do that, how many more qualified people, qualified prospects need to be there, and then how many more leads do I need. And I know how much for every dollar I spend on marketing, what I get back. So then I know I got to do more marketing, right? And so now I've gotten to this place where here's a couple of the main benefits. I'm going to end on this and then do Q&A for you guys. It's been about 30 minutes. So once you know your KPIs, not only can you sleep a lot better because you can drive consistent results, you can also identify the best practices and double down on those in the business, while at the same time identifying loose ends or inefficiencies, and you can clean those up because you see them in the numbers. And you ask questions like, well, how can we speed up this time frame from this to this to make it faster? How can I make this conversion more efficient? How can I make this conversion higher? How can I make this fallout rate lower? When you ask those questions, we start to dig in, because it's really easy to answer them, because you know what drives the ratio you're looking at. What drives it is the division between dividing the activity number by the result number. And so I need to make this less and this more, right? And so what would be awesome is a 100%. I drop a certain amount of units and I get a 100% lead rate. Everyone's a lead. And then every lead is qualified, and then every qualified gets an offer, and every offer becomes a client. Every client becomes a sale, and every sale becomes units of revenue. But getting a 100% or a 1 ratio on everything is probably not going to happen. And so once we're learning these ratios in our business, we start to ask these questions that shore up our business model to learn best practices and to make things more efficient. And along the way, our profitability usually goes up. Secondly, when we're hiring and we understand our business at this level, when we're going to hire someone for a job role, we know what activities need to be done and what results they should drive. And so we go out and we build psychological profiles so that we hire the people with the right brain power and brain makeup and experience to do these certain activities. And then we can train and manage and hold them accountable to the results that we need, because we know these activities drive these results. So we can more easily plug a person in. We know who to hire better because we know what activities that person has to do and be good at. And we know how to manage and train that person better because we know what activities to train them on, and we know what results we expect. And then we also understand our compensation because we know if for this amount of activity with this amount of result, we're willing to spend this amount of money because it will drive this amount of money on the bottom line. And with anyone in our team, we should be looking for at least a 2 to 3, if not 5, or sometimes 6, 8, or even 10x return. So for every dollar I invest in a team member, it's not an expense, by the way. When you invest in a team member, it's an investment. And so I'm looking for roughly, give or take, a $3 to $5 back for every dollar I spend on somebody, whether I pay them commission after they make a sale or I pay them hourly for sitting there doing administrative work. It doesn't matter. It's probably going to be 3 to 5, if not 8 or 10 times in sales. A lot of times we can have $1 million producer who makes $100,000. And so we pay him 100 to produce $1 million. That's a 10x return. That happens in a lot of businesses. Or they go out and they generate 500,000 and they get paid 50. That happens in businesses. That's a 10 times gross. It's not net, gross return. But I can now look at my business and more effectively know who to hire and how to manage and train them because I know my numbers. Later, so I shored up my model, made it better, made it more profitable. I more easily plugged in the right people and trained and managed them and compensated them more appropriately. And now the third pillar, what we talk about in the 4 pillars of freedom in the CEO Nation all the time, is the operations model. Is how do we handle all this? How do I manage my team to execute business model? Well, it's through the KPIs. It's looking at the numbers, and the training opportunities are making them better at the activities they need to do. They're watching the results and holding them accountable. That's what the weekly meetings and the daily metrics and the monthly plans and the annual goals and the quarterly projects and performance reviews, all those things that are in the operational model, which is pillar 3, are based around the metrics. And then finally, the 4th pillar that we talk about, I'm not going to get into it too much today, but it's alignment. It's making sure your business is actually giving you what you want so the business works for you instead of you working for it, and you get the money, time, and influence out of your business that you want and deserve and that your family deserves. And so when you get the 3 pillars in place, the main cog in all of this, the common denominator, all of this is knowing your numbers, by the way. I can finally be in a place where I can start to mold my business into what I need it to be for me, to give me the life that I need. And it's because I put the 3 pillars in place, which are all built on the foundation of knowing my numbers. So that's just what's at stake here, is everything in your business. And if you're successful in spite of knowing your numbers, it's dumb luck, or it's just a matter of time before something happens, coincidence. It's over. You've got to know your numbers so that you can see what's going on and you can get out from pushing behind and trying to reactively do things to be out in front, leading the business, proactively managing the business, because you have a level of expectations, because you know what activities drive what results. All right, guys, what questions do you guys have? That was a lot of information Let me see. Randy put something in here. Real question is, how many people in the Zoom call actually do their KPI regularly? Most people don't do or know how to. They make deposits, they pay bills, they lose money. None of this stuff will make any sense if you're not tracking this daily and weekly. No doubt, Randy. I thought, brother, I completely agree. In fact, what we see in the different masterminds and groups we're in is that most people don't do this, but then when they do, they cram them together before a coaching call or right before an event. And then they come in and they throw them up on the screen, or they put them up, on your Zoom, and they're like, all right, here's my numbers. And when you start looking at them, they don't even make sense because they didn't even have time to process them. So to your point, Randy, great point, is that if all you're doing, if you graduate from doing nothing to tracking something, like, congratulations, you're in like the 3%, but if you want to go from like the 3 to 1%, you actually have to be looking at these things, and they need to be meaningful, and they need to be tracked in real time. Because if all you do is wait until once a month or once a quarter and you cram a bunch of stuff and you download everything and you clean it all up and you look at it, like time has gone by, it's not on your side anymore. So by the time you try to make any decision with the data you've been given, you're already working into the next period of your business, and it takes a while to implement. So I would suggest, to Randy, to your point, I'm glad you brought that up. I would suggest that you guys are capturing the key metrics daily. I wouldn't let them slide out. I wouldn't let sales reps try to go on Sunday night and pump all their information in for the whole week. I wouldn't be looking at financial numbers, once a month, like after the fact, trying to plug them all backwards. Any core metrics that are activities in your business, I would be tracking all of that daily, so that weekly, and you need to be checking and asking questions about it daily, but weekly, you want to take a look back at the week prior and say, hey, where do we think we would be? What activities did we think we would have? And what results were we hoping to have? And then when I track daily, I'm kind of watching. It helps me stay prioritized each morning. We can reshuffle the deck with priorities every morning because we're watching what happened yesterday. What are we going to try to do today? What happened yesterday? What are we going to try to do today? And we keep our team rolling, right? But once a week when we pop up, and if you're not doing a weekly meeting where you meet on the same day at the same time with the same agenda every week, even if you're a solopreneur and you don't have a team, you are absolutely screwing yourself. Trust me on that one. And so when you're in your weekly meeting and you have your standard agenda and you say, what did we think we were going to do last week and how did that turn out? And then we look at what really happened because we track daily and how did that turn out? And we might find out that our results were way off. We thought we were going to sell this and we sold way down here. There, now you can see it. But here's the reality. What if our activity was down here and our assumptions on the ratios and what activities drive what results? What if they were dead on? We just didn't do enough of it. How empowering would that be to know, instead of thinking, oh, well, my results are low, they're down here instead of up here, so I must need to change my business model. I'm going to fire someone or hire someone or get new software or change my marketing plan. And people start making these wholesale changes in their business because the results aren't where they want them to be. But the reality is it might be your activity isn't where it needs to be. And your activity is driving the exact results, and you just don't get it because you're not doing this process correctly, right? And all you have to do is amp your activity up, and it will drive your results up accordingly. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'll tell you, if you don't understand all these connections, you will make mistakes on looking at your results after the fact if you don't have the activity data that drove it and the assumptions of the ratios. If you're not using that, you're just going to be dumb luck guessing at what to do based on the results. When they don't meet what you wanted, you will just go back and guess at what needs to be changed. There's a really good example in the KPI guide. If you guys haven't seen that, and you go grab it, where we talk about sales and guessing at making changes in the business that I think you guys will like. Randy, man, you're going to get like the participation award today. He just said, owning multiple companies and having for years, I still ask every morning, where's my money? Office girls know it's coming every day. Who's got my money? Sounds like Grant. All right. Ed said, hey, I've been tracking metrics for a long time. I appreciate you saying what you said because it feels like a chore and we just track them for the sake of tracking them and then do what we want and not always connect the two. Yeah, man, it's a hard place to get, but you got to sit down, Ed, and just, again, I would probably have a team meeting where we go over all the metrics, accountability, but I'd have a separate owners meeting, even if that's you by yourself. And I would look at everything and I would just study and I would divide all these different numbers and look at them different ways and just say, what does this mean to me? What if this number was higher? What if that number was lower? What would that do for me? How would it change things? What would I need to do to make it higher? What activities would I need to change? What do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? What should I stop doing altogether? Or what am I not doing that I need to learn, right? All that stuff, if you're making decisions on what to do, what not to do, what to increase, what to decrease, if you're making all those just guessing, you are literally dumb luck guessing. You are the definition of a hustler who's out just trying random stuff because you're not making educated decisions. Now, look, in the beginning, I get it. Like, you're not going to know everything, but you should absolutely make some assumptions and go try something and then track what happened versus what you hoped for and be honest with yourself and track it, because over time, in the beginning, just make some educated guesses. It's okay. But once you're a couple months in, you've got no excuse for not knowing your numbers. And this stuff can be as easy as grabbing a piece of paper and just during the day, just making tick marks. How many calls you made? How many, I just paid a vendor $5,000 to send out 10,000 mailers, whatever. I just got off the phone and I made a pitch. Tick. I made an offer, right? I had a prospect. I had a deal close. I had a wire come in. It's just tick, tick, tick. It's just a matter of having the 6, 8, 10 ticks that in dollar amounts that you want to track. And later you can advance it to all kinds of crazy statistics like we use in our business, but we would have never gotten there if we didn't track the 5, 6, 8 numbers that really move the needle, your core metrics. So Jacob says, as a first-year broker, I've only closed a few deals. I've been struggling to track progress given my lack of experience and the significant time gap between deals. Often I feel like I'm running in circles. I'd love to hear your advice or guidance. So I guess I was already starting to say something there about that, Jacob. So remember earlier I talked about, so the couple deals you've closed, reverse engineer those and see if there's any common denominators, or even if you only have a few, just track what worked there. What kind of deals were they? You're a broker, a real estate broker in Indiana. I know you. And so knowing your business, what kind of deals, what location, what were the buyers like? What were the sellers like? What were the dollar amounts? Why did they work? Right? Just the same. Do you have any deals you thought you for sure thought they were going to work and they didn't? We'll start what I would call like a post-mortem, right? Like do an autopsy on it and be like, well, why did it die? Where did it break down? I felt good through this process until I got to this process, and then it got shaky. We'll go back a couple steps and try to figure out what might have happened there. So pick a handful of deals that worked. Try to identify successful things that happened. Pick a few that you thought were going to work that got more than halfway through, like you really thought they were tracking and didn't. And then pick some that just out of the gate, like as soon as you jumped in, you knew they were stinkers and you probably tried for a while. The middle one being where you thought it was actually working for a while and then it didn't. This is the one where you kind of in the back of your mind, you're like, man, there's no deal here, but you tried. I want you to break those down and just look for common denominators amongst the clients, the time frames. Is it a season in the year? Is it the, especially in Indiana here, the holiday time is slow for real estate, and then put our weather in it. So that could come into play. Maybe some of these were owner occupants and some were investor deals. What can you take away to create some assumptions, to create some ideas around, well, the activities I was doing was this, and the results I got was this, and like, what can I boil that down to? And just make a guess. Hey, if I get in front of 10 homeowners and I make a pitch like the one that worked that one time, I'm guessing I might get one listing out of it. Okay, cool. Now you got some kind of hypothesis, right? And then what do you want to make on that? Well, I don't know. maybe I can't do $1 million homes here in Indiana because I don't feel like people would trust me, but I don't need to do the bottom price home. Maybe I'll look for like $200,000 to $500,000 homes. Well, who do you know that owns $200,000 to $500,000 homes that want to move or might want to move, or at least willing to talk to you? Or can you buy those leads? What can you do to test this hypothesis, right? And so you're going to go out one week and you're going to say, all right, I'm going to call these people. I'm going to pay for this marketing. I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do that thing. And if I get the opportunity, I'm going to say these kinds of pitches. And I think it's going to take me 30 hours this week, 5 hours of doing this and 4 hours, right? And I got a list. This is what I'm going to do. This is how long it's going to take. And this is what I think it's going to do for me. At the end, I think I'll get a listing if I do all this week. For a average $300,000 house, 3%, it's $9,000. I split, maybe you got some split with your broker. You're going to make whatever, 5, 6, 7, $8,000. And so my goal would be to get a listing where I can make, I don't know, call it $6,000 by the end of this week by doing these activities. Now, maybe it takes 2 weeks to do those activities, or maybe it takes all month to do that, Jacob. But the point is, I got a plan now, and I got activities, and I got a result that I'm shooting for, and I've got some different time blocks of how long these things are going to take. This is a key that a lot of people miss. You have to say, here's my activities and here's my results. I beat that one dead a little bit ago, right? But here's a key that people miss. Take the activities and estimate how long they're going to take. And then time block those appointments and put them into your calendar as if you were scheduling a lunch appointment with a buddy or a doctor's visit for an important, severe issue you have going on that you would never miss that doctor's appointment. You would put an alert in your phone. You would have a reminder. You would, send yourself an email. You would put the paperwork in your car so you got it, right? You would add it to your calendar. You'd be thinking about it. You'd have a reminder event. Like, you would not miss this appointment, right, for the doctor. Or if it's a buddy that's coming in town who you haven't seen for 10 years, you're not missing this thing. That's what your activities need to be like in your business, blocked in with the estimated time into your calendar on your schedule. And then you try your best to hit everything you can and track what happens. And at the end of the week or the beginning of the next week, you sit down and you say, here was my plan. These are all things I thought I was going to do. This is how long I thought they were going to take. This is the results I thought I would get. And then I'm going to look at what really happened. And I'm going to compare those two. And it won't take long, Jacob, because a lot of brokers just fly by the seat of their pants and they just run from opportunity or idea to idea, but they don't do the time to proactively estimate write down exactly what they're going to try, estimate how long it's going to take, and then very detailed manner predict what kind of results you think it's going to drive. And then even worse, most people don't do that. But even worse, the few people that do what I just said don't pop their head back up next week to look at what actually happened in comparison to what they thought was going to happen, and then study the difference and why, and then tweak your plan for the next week based on what you learned. This sounds so boring and painful to a lot of you guys, I bet, but this is where the rubber meets the road with KPIs, is this consistent picking the 6 or 8 numbers, and then it's 10, and then it's 12, and then you're like, I don't like 3 of them. It's back to 9, goes down to 8. Eventually it's like 10, and then at some point you got 50, and then you're like, screw it, I'm only tracking 4 numbers. And it's this never-ending thing in your business. But all of this is becoming a student of the game and learning the business like the back of your hand. It's outlining, it's understanding your profitability, and it's creating something that works so well that you can teach other people to do it. Because that's a key that normally doesn't happen in a business. A hustle is never transitioned out to a group of people with an operating manual to run the business without you. And so that key of like, how long is it, being detailed about what I'm going to do, how long is it going to take, putting it on my calendar, and then tracking what happens. And then next week, looking at the 2, changing my plan for the following week based on what I learned in the week before. It doesn't take too many weeks in a row to get to a point where you can start to have a lot more productivity. So I hope that helps, Jacob. Let me see here. Yeah. So John said, hey, great stuff. I don't really track numbers. Our business is so easy and profitable. Um, this is interesting. So he just said, our business is so easy and profitable that a lot of times we don't feel like we need to track numbers, but I always feel unsettled, like someone's always coming to take it away. Hey, John, how many people do you think had the same feeling that found out when the pandemic hit that they didn't really have a great business model, right? Or they didn't know what to do? When the pandemic hits, what's it mean? Well, this, and this changed. Okay, well, if I can isolate these changes where I can't go in clients' homes or I can't open my restaurant or right, you can start to say, okay, well, I'm looking at this machine that I built and I know how everything connects, every activity drives every result and all these different departments. And I've created all this, right? If I can go back and I can say these things just changed in the world because of the pandemic, I know how they'll in reverse, how they'll affect other things. And so although it doesn't make it better sometimes, if you had a restaurant it still had to close down for a while, but it just gives you a lot more peace of mind and control. So that's good, John. Randy says once those leads turn into customers and close, make it more important to send a handwritten thank you card for your business. We generate one customer out of 5 cards. I hand deliver. People leave so much business on the table after the deal closes. Just my tip of the week. Yeah, Randy, dude, love it. I love getting handwritten cards. And what you're doing is being intentional, and you've created a system, and you guys work it and you track it. And if you would have just said, "Hey, handwritten cards are awesome. You should do them," I would wonder, I might have asked you a question. Well, are they really awesome? Or do you just get a few people every once in a while and so you think they're awesome? Or do you not use them every time? Because I guarantee that if you know every 5 cards turns into one customer, you don't miss an opportunity to take a card out to somebody. And if you know hand delivering that makes a bigger difference than throwing it in the mail, then you will work that priority in because you can start to figure out, well, if I got to go drive 10 cards a week out, and guys, I know Randy, he's talking probably about his roofing business, maybe HVAC or solar or some other things. But if he's talking about his roofing business, if you know every 10 roofs you put on and you drive back out and hand deliver one to 10 people, and that's 2 more deals, that didn't cost you any marketing except your time. Quite frankly, it also builds a lot of good recognition, and it also gives you insight into your clients. Whenever you're meeting with your clients as a business owner, you just get to hear how things went. So Randy, I'm sure you hear stories when you're out hand delivering cards that help you make decisions about what really went well and you want to do more of, or what they didn't like and you want to do less of. Jacob said, appreciate it. Cool. All right. Cool, guys. Well, we're right at up almost on the hour. I hope this was helpful. Hey, guys, if I can help in your business in any way, use that link. Put it out here again. Bobby, I don't know if you're on still, if you want to drop that out there. But it's theceonation.com/links. Get on there and set up a strategy call if you guys want to talk about anything, if you want us to actively help in your business. Team Architects is really starting to take off. Several, actually, yeah, multiple of you guys on here have used us for that. That's our service where we actually build custom personality assessments for an exact job in your business. And then we create an unlimited link so that you can run all your candidates. And by the way, we're helping people drive candidates to their job ads, which right now is the market is stupid crazy all over the country. People are struggling to hire. It's really weird. You would think that's not the case. But it's harder and harder right now to find people. And so getting really creative with your tactics to drive candidates, and then taking those candidates and running them through the right kind of personality assessment is so important. So Team Architects is our company that does that. You'll be hearing a lot more about that coming here soon. Also, I think we did 15 or 16, 18, I don't know, 16 episodes maybe in last summer to early this year in the podcast. We've kind of had a break and we've been teeing up some people. We have a new set of podcasts coming soon. We'll do another 10 or 15 in the late spring, summer here. So that'll be really cool. Several other things in the works, but definitely connect, guys. Let us know what you need. Let us know how we can help. We're here every Monday. Don't forget, if you guys want to contact us, just hit back one of the emails where you got the invite to this. If you're on the Facebook group and you're not connected through your email, just go to the ceonation.com and get the KPI guide or sign up with us somehow. But send us a message if you guys are interested in doing one of these Monday calls with us, where we do a coaching call and a case study on some, major shift or business model or change in your business, and you want me to break it down. We'll spend time prepping. It's all free. I don't charge for it. I'll spend time coaching ahead of time to get ready, and then we'll do one of these Mondays where we take an entire hour. And I think one of the last ones we did, I think it went like 2 hours maybe. But we broke exactly down. I think most recently the one we did was looking at how to get into paid advertising versus just manually generating leads for free. But we want to do more of those case studies. So if you guys want to contact us and you want to be considered for that, let us know. Let me or Bobby know. Bobby's at support@theceonation.com. And you can hit me at Steve at the CEO Nation. So, all right. That's it for today, guys. Oh, let me see. I got my man, Ryan. You got a question, Ryan? You want to chat it in real quick? Hold on a second, Ryan. I'm not seeing what you're putting in there. Oh, just chat. Okay, that's cool, man. Yeah, we haven't talked a little bit, man. We'll catch up. All right, I'm gonna kill today I want to keep it at an hour. We're right at it. Brian, hit me up if you want. But great having you guys. Looking forward to next week. Hey, listen, do me a favor, guys. If you're finding value in this, please let me know by two ways. One, shoot me a message and tell me. Specifically, I would love for you to go on the Facebook group, find the replay, and post whatever you liked there or questions you have. If this sucks, cool. I want to hear that too. I want this to be really cool and really helpful. And finally, another way to help or to let us know that you enjoy this would be to invite other folks. So if you guys can just share the ceonation.com/links, that link. If you share it with anybody, tell them they can sign up for the weekly webinar for free there. We'd love to get some more folks on here. That would be great in return to us for the value that we're trying to put out, would be to have you guys referring more people to get on every Monday, 3:30 Eastern. So, all right, with that, guys, great seeing everybody. Have a good week. We'll talk soon.